He chose to walk into the storm, not away from it, into it. While other men ran for shelter, dry their cloaks, wait for calm, he stripped down and stepped into the rain, the wind, the cold that bites the bone, and the crowd that watched him laughed because they thought he had lost his mind. They were wrong. He was doing something no one around him understood. He was training for the day everything would fall apart. And here is the question that should haunt you. When your day comes, and it will you be ready, or will you break like everyone else? Rome, the 1st century before Christ. A young man walks through the streets in nothing but a thin tunic, no shoes. The sun hammers the stone. The marble burns underfoot. Senators pass in fine robes, shaded by servants, and they stare at him as if he were a beggar or a fool. His name was Cato, and he was neither poor nor mad. He was one of the most respected men in the Republic. A senator, a soldier, a voice that even Julius Caesar feared. He could have lived in comfort. He chose discomfort on purpose. Why? Because Cato had noticed something about human beings, something that is just as true of you right now, watching this. He noticed that men do not break when the disaster arrives. They break long before, in the soft years, the easy mornings, the 1,000 tiny moments they chose comfort over difficulty. And then, when the real test came, there was nothing inside them to hold the line. So Cato built a practice, a deliberate, repeated, almost ruthless habit of putting himself under pressure when he did not have to. He would wear clothing that drew ridicule, just to feel the heat of shame and learn to stand inside it. He would eat the plainest food while feasts were laid out around him. He would walk bareheaded through rain that sent everyone else running. And the strangest part? He never explained himself. He let them laugh, because the laughter was part of the test. But none of this was about suffering for its own sake. Cato was not a man who hated pleasure. He was running an experiment on himself, and the results would one day decide the fate of Rome, because there was a specific moment he was preparing for, a moment he could feel coming, the way you feel a storm in your joints before the sky turns dark. And when that moment finally arrived, every cold morning, every burning street, every cruel laugh, all of it would be tested at once. But to understand what he was really building, you have to understand what he was so afraid of. Here is what almost no one realizes about pressure. It does not create your character, it reveals it. The stress does not change who you are, it strips away the costume and shows you what was underneath the whole time. Cato understood this 2,000 years before psychology had a word for it. He believed that comfort was not neutral, comfort was corrosive. Every time a man took the easy path, he was not simply resting, he was quietly teaching his own mind that difficulty was to be avoided at all costs. And a mind trained to flee discomfort will flee at the worst possible moment. The moment when running means losing everything. Think about your own life for a second. You have felt this. The morning the alarm went off and your whole body voted to stay in bed. The message you needed to send but kept leaving unread because the discomfort of sending it felt larger than it was. The conversation you avoided, the gym you skipped, the dream you kept postponing until next month, next year, when conditions would finally be perfect. None of those were big moments. That is exactly the point. Each one was small, forgettable, and each one was a tiny rehearsal, teaching your nervous system quietly that when things get hard, you back away. Cato was doing the opposite. Every single day, in small ways no one respected, he was rehearsing the moment of pressure so many times that when the real one came, his body would already know the answer. He was not trying to feel less fear. He was teaching himself to act correctly while afraid. That is a completely different skill, and it is the one almost no one trains. Now watch what he understood that the modern world has forgotten. We treat stress as the enemy. We medicate it, distract from it, numb it with screens and noise and endless scrolling. We arrange our lives to feel as little friction as possible. And we call that progress. Cato would have called it a slow surrender because a man who has never chosen difficulty has no idea who he is. He has never met himself. He has only met the comfortable version, the easy self that exists when nothing is on fire. And then one day, something catches fire. A diagnosis, a betrayal, a loss, a collapse, and he turns to look for his strength and finds the cupboard bare. Cato refused to let that happen to him. But the universe was about to test his training in a way even he could not have fully imagined, because the republic he loved was dying, and the man killing it was the most dangerous human being alive. His name was Caesar. The Civil War came like a flood. Caesar marched, the republic crumbled, and Cato found himself in the city of Utica in North Africa, watching the last free government of Rome bleed out in front of him. Everything he had defended his entire life was ending. The cause was lost. Caesar was winning, and every man around Cato was making the only sensible choice: surrender, beg for mercy, save his own skin. This was the storm, the one he had been training for since he was a young man walking barefoot on burning stone. Now think about the pressure of that moment. Not abstract pressure, real pressure, the kind that empties your stomach and turns your hands to ice. Everything you believe in collapsing. The powerful man you opposed, now holding your life in his fist. Every voice telling you to bend, to fold, to take the easy, reasonable, survivable path. You have stood at a smaller version of this crossroad, the moment when doing the right thing would cost you something real, and everyone around you was quietly choosing the comfortable thing, and the easy path was right there, glowing, whispering your name. What did you do? Most people, in that moment, discover something terrible about themselves. They discover that all their values were conditional, that their principles only existed while principles were cheap, that under enough pressure, they would betray almost anything to make the discomfort stop. But Cato had spent 30 years making sure that would never be him. And here is where the modern science catches up to the ancient Stoic. Exactly, precisely, eerily. Psychologists have a name for what Cato was doing. They call it stress inoculation. The principle is simple and brutal. Just as a vaccine introduces a small, controlled dose of a threat so the body learns to defend itself, you can introduce small, controlled doses of stress so the mind learns to stay calm and functional under fire. Voluntary discomfort repeated over time literally rewires your response to pressure. The fear stops hijacking your thinking. You gain access to your full mind precisely when you need it most. This is now used to train soldiers, surgeons, astronauts, elite athletes. The exact method Cato invented on the burning streets of Rome, confirmed in laboratories 2,000 years later. Controlled hardship builds a nervous system that does not collapse. There is even research showing that people who regularly choose mild discomfort, cold exposure, fasting, hard physical effort, uncomfortable honesty, develop measurably greater emotional resilience and impulse control, not because suffering is noble, because they have practiced being uncomfortable without panicking. They have met the storm 1,000 times in small forms, so the large form holds no mystery. And in Utica, surrounded by collapse, Cato proved his training was real. He stayed calm. He arranged the escape of others, making sure as many people as possible could flee to safety. He did not panic. He did not beg. He moved through the catastrophe with a steadiness that astonished everyone who saw it. The steadiness of a man who had rehearsed this exact emotional state 1,000 times before it ever arrived. That is the prize, not a life without storms, a self that does not break inside them. So, here is the answer to the question I asked you at the start. When your day comes, and it will, you will not rise to the level of your hopes. You will fall to the level of your training. And the time to build that training is not in the storm. It is now, in the calm, in the small, ordinary moments you keep choosing comfort. So here is the practice. Tonight, you run your own 3-minute pressure test. Choose one small discomfort and hold it deliberately for 3 minutes while staying completely calm inside. Take a cold shower and do not tense, do not gasp, do not rush. Breathe slow and watch your own reaction. Or sit in total stillness with no phone, no sound, no escape, and feel the discomfort rise without obeying it. Or hold a hard physical position until your body screams to quit, and keep your mind quiet while it does. 3 minutes. That is all. The goal is not the discomfort. The goal is the practice of staying composed inside it. You are teaching your nervous system one lesson, the same lesson Cato taught his. I do not have to flee. I can stand here. I am the one in control. Do it once and you will feel it immediately. Do it daily and you will become a different kind of person, the kind who does not crumble when life finally tightens its grip. Cato did not train so the storm would never come. He trained so that when it came, he would still be himself. That is the whole secret. Strength is not the absence of pressure. It is what you have practiced being while the pressure is crushing everyone around you. And every easy choice you avoid today is a deposit into the man or woman you will need to be tomorrow. The storm is coming for all of us. The only question is whether you meet it as a stranger or as something you have rehearsed 1,000 times. Start tonight, 3 minutes. And if this reached something in you, stay with this channel, because the next mind we build might be the one that holds your life together.